Okay, I checked out all the switches up in the handle and the connections. They all appear to be good. I really couldn't take any voltage measurements because I had nowhere to put my neutral on my meter. I would have to have a return somewhere or a ground, and this whole thing is plastic and you just can't find a common ground anywhere. So I checked, make sure the plugs and connectors, it all tested, it ohmed out good. So I'm gonna assume, somebody said there's a 40 amp fuse in here. I saw another video that was done and the fuse was blown. And even after he replaced the fuse, at least before he didn't get any indication over here on this battery symbol, but after he replaced the fuse, the motor wouldn't start, but it was flashing red over here, and I don't have any of that, just like he started out with. So I'm assuming the fuse is blown. But if the fuse is blown, obviously there was a problem that causes the fuse to be blown. And so I'm probably going to replace the fuse, and it's not going to fix it, just like in his case. But I took the batteries out, I removed the blade. I'm looking at the front. This looks like the reason you probably have to drop this motor is there's a screw here you can't reach in order to separate the two halves. And it looks like I'm going to have to probably remove this label because that's covering both halves. And this battery sticker is covering both halves, so that probably has to peel off. It's not going to look great when I'm done because those stickers obviously aren't going to stick again. But I guess I can re-glue them or just use an X-Acto blade, cut them. So I'm going to drop this motor. The other guy took out the 15 Torx that are over here in this area. I'm just going to pop these 3 1/2 inch and see what happens. Okay, I removed the 3 1/2 inch bolts. You can see they're like an offset there. And quite dirty in there, quite a lot of grass and cut grass sitting there on the rim. So I'm gonna clean that mess up before we proceed and take it from here. Okay, I got the vacuum cleaner out, cleaned her up, sucked it down and washed it with a rag. This motor is surprisingly light, probably under 5 pounds. I mean, I think it's light. But anyways, there's that screw that's the reason you gotta pull this thing, because otherwise you can't get to that screw from underneath the lawnmower. So you gotta take that out. Like I said, it's surprisingly light. Anyways, okay, I don't think I have to remove these 4 number 15 T15 Torx. I'm just gonna leave them in and see what happens. It looks like I just gotta separate this plastic in order to get over here to the wiring underneath there. All right, let's move on. Okay, so I removed 8 of the T15 Torx. One here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then there's one in the up here, 8. So there's 8. I had to use some of these are seated in real deep, so you got to get a fairly long, over 4 inch long drive to get to it. So, in looking at it a little closer, I don't think I had to remove this screw to get everything to come apart. Or there's another one on this side too. I think that holds half of the. So it appears that this label has come off because it's holding the 2 halves together. So looks like I can get this off. I'm gonna take this off and record later. Okay, I peeled that sticker back over halfway, and I put some saran wrap on it just so I can not get that sticker all dirty. I can reuse it. But as you can see, with that off, I can start separating these 2 pieces here pretty good. So I just need to do the battery sticker on this side. Because this is kind of the same deal. My camera won't focus. Piece of crap. Okay, I'm gonna take that sticker. With those 2 stickers out of the way, this thing came easily apart. And one half stayed on there because those 2 screws are still holding that half piece in there. So I kind of like it. This way it's not falling all apart. So I'm just gonna leave like that. And I am going to search for that 40 amp fuse, see if I can find it. Should be up in this area somewhere. One thing I did notice is this thing is full of debris. There's one thing I did notice is this thing is full of debris. There's a bunch of dead grass in there. And who knows, maybe that could cause a short. Yeah, so I'm gonna do some more housekeeping here, get this thing cleaned out. So, okay, I took a leaf blower and kind of blew all the dust out and debris out of there. A lot of it came out from inside this engine here, this little electric motor. There's kind of an input here that, yeah, there's stuff blowing out. And I can see where that could blow a fuse if you get too much debris in there and conditions are right and it crosses a couple connectors or, yeah. So right there, if you see that shrink wrap right there, that is the fuse. So next step, let's pull it up and see what it looks like. Okay, something I noticed when I was pulling out this fuse, there's also this connector here. If you look at it, that black wire tab, it doesn't seem to be fully seated like the other two. So I might just take a pair of pliers and give that a quick squeeze. So if you look at this fuse, there's an observation window at the tip. And that baby is open, open, open. And I did squeeze this with my finger, and I was able to set that back down where it belongs. So I guess now off to the store to get a fuse. Hopefully this son of a gun wasn't that hard to really take apart, and I try to keep it as neat as I can. The other videos I see wires all over the place, but as long as you don't separate the two halves, only pull one half off, you got that wiring pretty contained there. So I removed the shrink wrap from that fuse, if I can just focus on it. That's what it looks like. I put a black marker on there just so I know how the wires went back, even though it don't matter. But there's the shrink wrap I cut. I'm gonna either get some more shrink wrap or I'll just tape that back on. But I took an ohm meter and it definitely opened. So now I just gotta get there's some ratings on this fuse, and I just want to make sure I get the right voltage too, along with the amperage. I know the other video there was a 32 volt, but this is a 40 volt system, so I got to check to see how this is rated. So I got my loop out and I looked at it. It's 40 amp, but it's a 58 volt, which makes more sense. A 58 volt fuse. And it's by a Little Fuse. And hold on, let me check it. Part number. Has a 895 on it. So, not sure if that's a part number or a date code, but 58 volt 40 amp, not a 28 volt 40 amp. Okay, I just got back from O'Reilly's Auto Parts store. I got the fuse. It's an LJCA40 Bravo Paul, and it was about $7, $7.50 with tax. And it's a 58 volt. So I'm gonna go ahead and put her into my old lawnmower and see how it works. Okay, I put that new fuse in. I temporarily just kind of put that heat shrink around it, and I'm gonna tape it later if this works. So I'm just gonna put the batteries in. Hopefully it won't blow an $8 fuse. I'll keep my fingers crossed. I got 2 screws holding this all together. All right. Okay. Oh. So the red light flashed on, the motor started, but then it died right away, and the fuse was blown. So that was an $8 fuse down the drain. Okay, to summarize, I changed out the 40 amp fuse, put in the batteries, turned it on. The light down there went red for a second, and the motor, the motor's not fastened to the chassis, so I could see it kind of spun just for a second, and then the light went out, and now nothing happens, and the fuse is blown again. So either got a motor windings are shorted or that motherboard is bad, but I already got enough money invested in this. And if anybody else replaced that motherboard after having the same symptoms, could you please make a video or let me know? Because if it's only $50 more, it's worth fixing, but it's going to keep going further and further until it works. May as well just go buy a gas-powered mower.